Good afternoon. Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to another session of Nail School. Those of you guys who have ever done a baby boomer nail or French ombre, and you've struggled with trying to blend the pink with the white, I want to be able to show you guys some tips and tricks that are going to be able to help you do that. We're going to go through the process without running into any issues at all. So we obviously want to begin by pushing cuticles back and removing shine from the surface of the natural nail. We're going to do that at a very low speed. So if I'm using my E-file, I want to be able to gently remove shine from the surface of the nail by lightly removing it. So I'm using the underside of my wrist to show you exactly how much pressure we have, right? So if I am lightly going around and then lightly feathering from corner to corner using excessive, what I have to do again is gently remove shine. So I'm not using the edge, I'm just lightly tickling, right? So I'm using a light feathering motion from corner to corner to effectively remove shine from the surface. And then once I'm done doing that, I'm going to use swipe to clean the surface of the nail. This is going to give me the ability to come through and clean the surface of oils and contaminants and get it prepared for protein bond application. Let me grab some real fast. All right, so once we are done removing shine from the surface of the nail with swipe, I want to be able to use this. And this is going to be applied to all 10 fingers from cuticle to free edge. And you're going to do that again on the first 10 and then go back and apply a second coat from cuticle to free edge. Okay, so this is prepped and ready to go. This is the same preparation you're going to be doing if you are working on hard gel or acrylic nails. All right, so we need to apply a form to the natural nail. So when you're applying forms, what you have to be able to do is place the form underneath. This is going to give it stability. As you can see, what I like to do is go ahead and pinch in a handle, right? This is a great handle that you could use so that if you open the arms or decide to use the handle, two ways of applying it. You could use the handle to come underneath and again, mount it flush to the free edge, or you can hold on to the arms and then use your other hand to swivel up so that it touches the very, very front of the natural nail, right? So you have to remember that the area that you want it flush to is the very, very front. Don't worry about getting it absolutely tight to the corners, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to build the white, okay? We're going to be using a lighter white, a core white. Now, remember, when we are picking up powder, we need to submerge our brush. I'm going to get my liquid inside here. We want to tap on one side, and you're going to notice that when I go into the powder, I'm not going to drag it or stab it. I want to be able to pull down at a 45-degree angle and bounce inside the powder so that I get a nice fluffy bead on one side of my brush. One side of my brush. I do not want to stab it and do this. It's not right. I don't want to water ski across the surface. Again, you're going to see an uneven application. I want to be able to submerge, lightly tap on one side. I want to be able to come in at a 45-degree angle, pull down, and then bounce inside the powder till I have a nice fluffy bead on one side. I'm immediately going to remove the excess from the back end. And then what I like to do is a little bit higher than the natural nail, I'm just going to release. Now you'll notice it's not going to run. I'm going to lightly press this out. A lot of the acrylic basically moves past the nail. And what I'll be able to do is use the side of my brush to walk it even with the growth channels. Now, because I have a consistency that's not going to run all over the place, I could really focus my attention on trying to get this as tight to the body as I can. And then because I don't have a consistency that's going to get away from me, what I could do is I could lightly feather this into place, trying to get the sidewalls as even as I possibly can. Now notice it's not an intense bright white. What I am working with, again, is a soft white product, okay? So we're gonna just try to get this into, say, a nice, tight, coffin-shaped nail, just like this. Again, my sidewalls are even with the growth channel. My free edge is not too thick. What I'm trying to do is build an extension that I'm going to be able to build my pink up onto. Now, what we've done is you've noticed that, right? If you look at the side profile, it's not thick, right? It's pretty tight to this back end. We want to try to keep it tight so that if you are overlaying over the surface, you're not going to see a line of demarcation right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose a cover product, cover pink, and when we are overlaying from the back, the highest point is going to cover this area right here. So we're going to submerge our brush, we're going to lightly tap. Again, the more you tap, the smaller the bead. So we need to make sure that when we're tapping, it's just like one firm tap. Again, at a 45-degree angle, I want to be able to pull down. I want to bounce inside the powder, but this time I'm going to wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then around 5, I'm going to release. I'm going to use the tip of the brush. I'm going to walk around the perimeter of the nail. As the bead starts moving down past that line, here from the corner, I'm going to start pulling from the front end of the bead. And what we're going to do is start blending that acrylic into the white. Now you can see how everything really blends in beautiful, right? It looks like it's kind of blending into the white. Now, the most important thing is you notice is that the thickest part of the application is going to be over, right? Over that stress area. You're going to notice again, my sides are tight. Everything is blending in perfect. At this point, what I like to do is take a very, very small amount of the same white, a very, very shallow bead. And then in between the white and the pink, I'm just going to lightly, just literally lightly kind of blend in between so that it looks like the pink and the white is literally blending into each other. Now, to bring it all together, because we still have to basically blend in that front end, you can see that it's very shallow on that front end. What we're going to do is we're going to use a little bit of natural. You could choose to use clear if you like. I like to get a bead. And again, in between the white and the pink, I'm just going to brush back, right? And then I'm going to use the body of my brush. Again, connection, having balance, boom, having balance. And then you can see as I'm not brushing everything forward, I'm keeping connected. I'm using the body of the brush to walk down and all the way through to the very, very tip. And what you're going to notice is that I have an absolute perfect baby boomer nail. I have a perfect fade between the pink and the white, and I have room to file. If I was to file through that upper arch right there, I'm not going to file too much through. This is going to give me the ability to file through and maintain that nice fusion between the pink and the white nail, right? That's what we want to be able to do, right? So the technique, again, if you're doing this with other methods, you just have to make sure that whatever you're establishing on the front end, it's going to be as thin as you can. So whatever you overlay over the surface, then you're going to have, again, a nice blend between the pink and the white. It's a great way of ombreing acrylic nails. You'll notice, like, if I was to practice on a nail like this, right? If I was to take the white, right, just as you can see, if I was to set this again down here, what I'll normally do with the tip of my brush while it's wet, go ahead and wipe this, but watch this, like you can lightly kind of poke up at that line in between and kind of create a very natural fade. you'll notice that the thicker part of the white, if I just lay it down in this section, as you can see, I can kind of create a natural ombre by just lightly kind of wetting out this section and blending it as flush to the nail as we possibly can, right? This is a great way for you guys to take some pastel colors or whatever you're working with and practice just getting it over the tip. So if you were doing this over the tip, the farther you move back, right? And the same applies to some of the other colors, but if I needed to create even a deeper one, watch. If I was to feather this out with the very, very tip of my brush, what I'd like to do is kind of poke at the back end and then use the brush, right, to kind of disperse the pigment towards the back. And what it'll do is it'll create a natural ombre without you doing any of the overlay. This is a great way for you to set the tip up so that when you overlay over the surface, you're not going to have this gigantic line through here. Everything that's going to pull over and through, as you can see on this end, is going to blend out the white very, very evenly. And that's what you're trying to do. You don't want the white too thick. If the white is too thick, then what ends up happening is if you blend the pink over the surface, when you go to file it out, you end up filing into the structure. So that's set and ready to go. What I always like to do is take down the edges of my file before I start filing. You could actually take a magic wand as well, right? And you could always use just this basically handled part to remove any sharp edges from your hand file. You'll also notice that I like to rest my brush inside my dish, and what this will do is it'll basically, allowing it to sit inside here is going to prevent any acrylic from drying on the end of your brush. And then what I'll do to prevent it from getting away from me, let me just put this back so it doesn't come off. What I'll end up doing is using the towel like this. Let me show you guys. And then using the towel to pull any acrylic. If you have any acrylic that has built up inside your brush that's hardened, what I recommend doing, whatever remaining monomer you have inside, add a little bit of acetone to the surface. Let the brush sit for about 10 minutes. Do not use a sharp tool to scrape it off the end. What you want to be able to do, again, is use a soft towel to kind of lightly push this off, right? That way your brush stays nice and supple and soft. That's what you want to be able to do. Just do remember, when you do this, do not, again, save this liquid for use. I would just get it into a towel, it'll evaporate, and then when you dispose of it, it'll evaporate, and you don't have any worries after that. Okay, so we need to break this down into filing this straight. So I need great contact through the side. I need great contact, again, from the side. You're going to see a nice straight shelf when I file. I'm going to have good contact from the front. So I have 1, 2, 3. To get my sides dead straight, I want to line this up at the lowest point, parallel to the finger. Keep contact all the way through until I reach my lower arch. That way I have an absolute flawless extension filed out from the end of the growth channel out to the front of the nail. I'm going to do the same thing here. You can see all this hanging. I don't want to put it into the corner and file in. I want to keep contact from the lowest point. Watch this, lowest point, and then I continue to file and I continue to file until my hand file reaches that corner. Boom. And as you can see, I'll have a perfectly straight extension. I don't put a notch in the corner, which can lead to basically problems with the nail. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and switch this out to my coarse safety bit. I need a little bit of space. I'm gonna go ahead and lock this into place. I'm gonna turn my electric file up to about 13,000 RPMs. Since I'm right-handed, I'm going to be working in forward. If you are left-handed, you work in reverse. Notice how long this is going to take me to file. So if I'm looking at the side profile, I'm looking down the back end, I'm gonna file the upper arch into shape. I don't go side to side, I pull in one direction towards myself. And then from the front end, I'm gonna look down the barrel of the nail, right? You can see the level of thickness I have here and the level of thickness I have here. What I want to be able to do in one direction is pull towards myself. So you're going to notice the front end becomes even on this side. I'm going to do the same thing on the opposing side. I'm pulling in one direction towards myself. That way the C curve ends up becoming even. Now, the growth, the cuticle area, again, for those of you guys that work with an e-file and you've seen people go like this leads to this. If you have connection where I have my pinky here and I'm actually able to hold my electric file in this position, I can work around the cuticle area. I can remove the excess without the bit slipping. Right? And I can do this without the client feeling anything. So once the cuticle area is blended, watch this. All I have to do is come in one direction through the whole entire surface and I am done. I don't need more than that. Most of the excess has been filed away. I'm now going to take my hand file, right? So at this point, there should be minimal filing around the perimeter. You should be able to blend lightly. I'm not putting any pressure. All I'm doing is resting the hand file around the perimeter of the nail to try to blend this as tight as we possibly can. You can already see how everything is coming out to a finish. I'm going to hold my hand file at the top. I'm going to break this into two sections. I'm going to file down. I'm going to file this left side, right? Again, this way in one direction. Right? This is going to allow me, again, to keep it consistent on this side. And then when I file the right side, I hold the hand file from the bottom with my finger on top. I don't pick at it. I have connection going into the nail and let it fall. So real fast, you're going to notice how fast I'm going to be able to file the right side. And last but not least, after everything has been filed to a relatively straight shape, what I want to be able to do, let me go ahead and just get this dead straight. I want to be able to look down this, right? I want to be able to look down the client profile. And then what we're going to be able to do is make a peace sign, and I'm going to be able to hold the hand file from side to side. And this is where we're going to be able to make it dead even. But what you're going to notice with the ombre, right? Let me just go ahead and try to get this as even as we possibly can. Just lightly taper that front end, right? Making sure that my sidewalls and everything is perfect. Take a look, right, before the top coat. Right, look at how well that is blended. It looks like the pink is blending into the white flawlessly. Okay, that's what you're gonna do. All right, all you need from there is protein bond on the surface, a little top coat over the top, and you're ready to rock and roll. Tune in for more information and education. If you guys have any questions, give us a call, 1-800-777-9170. Get a hold of Ray Bracamontes here about Zoom classes. I think there might be one more space left for all about acrylic, or the OWC acrylic, the 1-week course. Again, 1-800-777-9170. And then also, if you guys need information on the website, www.youngnails.com. Appreciate you guys. Just remember to smash that like button for us. It's just going to get us into the ranks so we can get the content out to as many people who want to learn how to do nails well. Appreciate you guys. Love the support. See you guys soon. Have a wonderful day. Peace.
Subscribe the channel now. Subscribe the channel now. Subscribe the channel now.